Hello, everybody. Hello. Happy Friday. Oh, happy Friday. Let me give you guys a minute to join in. Hope you guys are having a good start to your day. My name is Evelyn. I am the maker behind Pink Sheep Design. Most of you guys, if you're on here, know that, but you know, we've got the replays that are going to live forever on the web, so you know, there's that. But I am super excited about today's live. I don't think I have any announcements. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have anything right now. But the mini puff crochet along is happening. Part 1 we finished this week. So if you are interested in crocheting a garment along with me, you still have time to jump in and grab the pattern. You can use the link in my bio here on Instagram, or if you're watching the replay, I will have the information in the description of the video on YouTube. So you can find that there. But feel free to join in. I would love to have you. It's going to be really fun. I will show you guys my progress real quick, just so you guys can see. This is my progress on the crochet along. So we're doing little bits at a time, little chunks, very digestible. Like I said, if you have never made a wearable, you can join in. It's super fun. So be sure to check that out. Okay, so today we are going to be chatting with Jenny Bones. And if you do not follow her, you need to go check her out on Instagram. She makes some amazing dolls, crocheted dolls, really based on a lot of different TV shows, movies, pop culture. Like right now there's a lot of Halloween dolls that she is creating. And I'm really excited to talk to her about her process. And I also realized when we chatted before today, I did not realize the detail that goes into the boxes that she makes for these dolls. So we're going to chat about that too, because that's amazing. So let's go ahead and bring her on, because I believe, let's see. See if I can find her. Is she here? Yes, she asked to join the live. It was not Jenny. So here we go. There you are.
Hi.
Hello.
I never know where to put the camera.
Oh, I feel you. Mine changes. At least the angle will change here and there. I'm like, which tripod do I use? Which direction?
If I can make this work better here.
Take your time. Take your time.
So hi.
Hi. Oh, and look at all the dolls in the corner.
I know.
That's
I've got all my
amazing.
dolls in the background.
Yeah, that's smart. That's what we need.
Right? Here, I'll just lean back a little bit or something. I'm so up close. There's that. Maybe that'll.
I know. I'm always like right here. I'm like looking behind you. So I'm like, you know.
I need like a live practice before it's live. So I'm like, oh, I'm all set.
And we kind of had that, but not really. Like that's it's practice, but then it's like the live, it always feels like a totally different thing. I have to say, I'm less sweatier during my lives now. Usually I would get really anxious and I'd be like, oh, I need a little more deodorant. But these days it's gotten easier. It has definitely gotten easier. Okay, so I would love if you would do just a super quick intro for anyone who does not know who you are or what you do. Just a quick intro.
Fix this. Well, as I'm still adjusting my camera, my name is Jenny of Jenny Bones. And I've been, I don't know, crocheting for about 4 years, like consecutively now. I've tried it many times in the past and never really stuck to anything, never really enjoyed what I was making because it was the typical scarves or something. And I was like, meh, not that fun. Gone into doll making just about 2 years ago. I bought a book called Amigurumi Me by Allison Hoffman, who is Crafty as Cool on Instagram. And I was like, I don't know, let's try and make some dolls. Yeah. So I made a couple for gifts for people, co-workers that were leaving work. I would make them a doll or something. And then it just developed from there. And I decided I'm gonna like venture out of these kind of patterns and try and kind of come up with my own.
Mhm.
And slowly and surely, I started just kind of making up my own thing. And yeah, right now and now here I am now making the dolls I'm making now.
Awesome. And you, just for anyone, like I said, who maybe has not been following you, when it comes to the dolls that you make, do you are the majority of the items that you create custom orders, or is like a half and half mix of custom orders and things that you just want to make, and then once you make them, they're for sale?
Pretty much a half and half like that. It started in the beginning of just making what I liked.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple years ago, I was watching and rewatching for the millionth time the Trailer Park Boys, and I
Yes.
was like, "Hey, I'm gonna try and make the boys." And
Uh-huh.
so just while rewatching them, I think it was even during quarantine, so we had a lot of time at home, and
Mm-hmm.
I just made them. And Bubbles, like the actor Mike Smith, actually owns them now. So that was kind of like my huge motivation to be like, hey, people
Yeah.
like these. Like these are kind
Yeah.
of fun. Maybe I've got something here. And so I started making more things that I enjoyed. So like different
Mm-hmm.
like pop culture, like you said, movies, television, whatever. And then I found people would message me like, hey, is that for sale? Or can you do some custom orders? And then it started
Mm-hmm.
developing a little bit more into the custom order aspect too. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 50-50. Sometimes I just get an idea and I'm like, ooh, I really need to try to make them. And then
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that I have a niche following of people that seem to enjoy the same things I do. So
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
most part, I can kind of sell my creations too.
And it's super helpful, I feel, that there are a lot of adults who collect these kind of, I don't want to say toys, but like look at like Funko Pop. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, people who collect these figurines. I hate to say toys, so it's more like figurine because most of them are not going to get them out of the box and play with them. Like this is a display piece. It's a collector's item.
Yeah.
And I did not realize until I came on here. Well, I think it was like I was going through the feed looking for pictures for the graphic for
Mm-hmm.
today's live and for the announcement. And I was like, oh my God, the boxes. Can you talk about that? Because I don't know why it didn't hit me. I'd seen the boxes, but I was like, there's so much detail
Yeah.
in the boxes.
The boxes kind of finish it in my mind. Like I'm a makeup artist by like profession. I've been a makeup artist for 20 years, and I always said
Hmm.
lashes finish a look. Well, to me, boxes finish my dolls.
Yes,
So it's that one
yes.
little aspect that you don't think is going to be a big deal that actually kind of makes them
Ah,
a little more, like you said, even collectible. Like my
yes,
partner and I
exactly.
are big collectors. Like our house is full of Funko Pops and action
Hmm.
figures and stuff, and most of them are in boxes still. So the
Yeah,
idea of keeping something crocheted that can get pretty dirty and like
yes.
dusty, safe in a box if you don't want to display it, kind of works. So I started when I first started making boxes again when it was making gifts for people. I would just repurpose some boxes that I had. So
Hmm.
because I worked in cosmetics, I had access to some like fragrance boxes that have the
Yeah,
nice clear lid. So I would
yes.
kind of repurpose some of those. And then I splurged one day, bought myself a Cricut, and I was like, hey, I can cut out more things now. And then I started
Hmm.
decorating other boxes, kind of trying to design my own. And then it's been developing. Like if you actually went through and
Yes.
saw my box progress up until now, it's definitely had its ups and downs and its different kind of transitions. And it's kind of now become this one. And I try to keep them a little more uniform to make them kind of
Yeah.
like my own personal box. But I, like you said, I design them to the character. So like,
Yeah, let's see a couple of them if you have
like
them.
I just made the Beetlejuice, so he's not in here, but I put the stripes around it. For the
Yes.
graphic of Beetlejuice, I have the actual logo, so I've got that guy.
And
Um,
those are big boxes.
and
I
then
don't
that's
think I
like
realized
Beetlejuice.
like it's hard
Yeah,
to see the
it's hard
size
to
even in
judge,
your
but if you see
videos.
like from my elbow to my wrist, like is basically
Yeah.
the doll, right? So like that's like the size of a Barbie, if you will.
Yeah.
And then some of them I've been adding voices. So let me see if I can. I don't know if you can hear it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so he has a little voice box in there, and they're all posable, like they're all wired, so you can sit
Ah.
down and pose them.
And
But yeah,
tell
yeah.
me tell me a little bit about, let's compare Beetlejuice to one of the first ones, the first dolls you made. What
Oh,
are the big upgrades that you've done that maybe were not even thought of?
Huge.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't have many of my original ones because a lot of them were gifts and people did buy them because not I don't want to knock my original work, but like I look at it now and I'm like, oh my god, I can do better. But at the time,
Yeah.
like these are awesome. So like, don't ever feel bad about your work, first of all, anybody, because there's someone out there that absolutely does love it, and then
Yeah.
you grow from there. But
Yep.
again, one of my kind of original ones, I don't know if you're familiar with Dave Chappelle, but he
Mm-hmm.
had a Chappelle show and he had a character, Tyrone Biggums. So I made
Uh-huh.
Tyrone. It
Uh,
was he was like my boyfriend's favorite. Like, here, I had my finger there, and that was really
yeah.
inappropriate.
At first I was like, okay, he's got something going on down there.
So yeah, that was one of my first ones. So like he doesn't even have wire in him.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I think there's just like a wooden dowel in his head, so you can't really like pose his head.
Uh-huh.
The details really aren't in the face like I do now. Like I had way more details with makeup or paint,
Yeah.
or even just sculpting with like thread, like face
Yeah.
sculpting. So definitely I've improved, but it's nice to
Yeah.
have some of the original ones around sometimes just to look back at them and be like, oh yeah,
Definitely.
the
I
things
think
I
it's
can change.
important. And I think it's important that that reminds me because I always push personal projects. Like I feel like for someone who, if you do something to make money that started out as something that was a hobby, just a hobby, as soon as you start making money with that hobby, I feel like it's really, really important to set aside time for personal projects, things that you want
Mm-hmm.
to make. The point is not to make money. You're going to keep it for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
at least for a while,
Yeah.
even if at some point you end up selling something that, you made for you. But, I feel like in your case, keeping some of those older dolls for yourself is that reminder of like, this is where I started, this is why I love it, this is how
Mm-hmm.
far I've come. Like that's, and do you at this point, so you have that one.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any in your collection aside from him, and you may even sell him, but that you're like, I will never sell this. Like this was for me.
Tyrone, I wouldn't sell only because he was a gift for my boyfriend, and he says to this day, like, you're never selling that one. You
Yeah.
can make a new one if someone
Well, of
wants.
course.
He likes to keep some of the original things too. When I made the Sanderson sisters, I made them with the intent of that was a project for me because I loved Hocus Pocus as a kid and
Hmm.
growing up and stuff. But then it kind of exploded and a lot of people wanted them, so I made a couple more. But I find I'm the type of crocheter that I want to crochet new things. I don't want to keep doing the exact
Yeah.
same doll over and over because then I'm going to look at that doll and be like, I hate you.
Yeah.
So I'll do a couple and then I'm like, no, that's probably it. I might go back to it maybe a few months down the road or something, but
Or even like the
back to
next
that.
year.
Maybe, yeah, right? Like
Yeah.
just not right away. So I was going to keep the Sanderson sisters. I ended up selling them to someone, which, you know what, I like that they go to a home that really likes them too, so they're going to be
Yeah.
on display and loved. Billy that I made from Hocus Pocus, he's one
Oh,
I don't know
I
if I'm going to
love
sell
him.
because I made him with his head
Yeah.
like to come off. Like
Does
he
it,
was
is
my
it
fun one. Yeah,
magnetized?
it's magnet.
Oh,
So
that's
there's magnet in his neck
amazing.
and his head, and then he'll actually like sit on there. Yeah.
That's cool.
So he's
Yeah.
one I don't know if I'm gonna sell because Billy was always my favorite. I loved
Yeah.
him in that movie, and
Yep.
he was a fun one to make. And I like just trying to make a zombie look or like a crochet doll look like a zombie was hard, but he was a fun one. He was a challenge. So yeah, he's
Yeah.
probably one I might not sell. But other things like the ones you see behind me, a few of them have actually sold. I just haven't
Mhm.
shipped them yet. Like Freddie's for sale, or Freddie has sold, but I'm waiting. The girl wanted another doll, so we're waiting to do combined
Let's see the
shipping.
let's see the Freddy box if you want to bring him down because
Yeah.
he's all boxed up and ready to go.
So yeah, he's boxed. I don't know if you can see him. You can see
Oh
pictures
yeah.
of him on my Instagram if you want to see him better. But then
Yeah.
I did his like 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, like the whole quote
Yeah.
thing on there, and then there's just like a big slash at the back in my logo.
Oh, I love that you have, yeah, that's so
Yeah.
awesome.
So that was my nightmare. So yeah, he's been sold, he's been spoken for, but I just have him like I said right now. Green Bastard I made from the Trailer Park Boys, and once again he's going to Bubbles. So we're
Oh,
just
that's amazing.
finalizing some like shipping arrangements, but he's actually going to go to live in the trailer park with everybody else. So that was another
Awesome.
fun one. And again, I put like, pot leaves and
Yeah,
some kitties. And
of
then I
course,
have,
some kitties.
again, if you're familiar with Trailer Park Boys, this was from that episode where they had Community Wrestling Day. It's probably backwards.
Oh,
Might be. I don't know.
yeah.
But so yeah, he'll be going to live with Bubbles. And I like things like that I love. Like I made him just because I was watching it again and I was like, I'm gonna make Green Bastard. I like that character, it's fun. And then, I get reached out, they're like, yeah, I want that one too. So I was like, I love this. Like that's like
You're
the
like,
best part
what if
about
it
it.
was for me?
Yeah.
Come on, Bubbles, you can't have all of them.
Right?
Ah, so I feel like, the more I got to talk to you, the more I realized that for you, it really is all in the details.
Yes.
So like I would love for you to talk about that a little bit about why that's so important, what makes you, so focused on making things so detailed and so specific, and kind of where that came from.
Yeah. I've always been pretty artistic. Like all growing up, I would draw, I could paint. Like I said, I was a makeup artist for over 20 years. So attention to detail has always been even my job. Like even with doing makeup and backstage and stuff like that, attention to detail and those little minor things are what you need to do even for runway. Like that eyeliner has to be identical on every
Mhm.
single person. So I've always had the eye for detail. And there are a lot of crochet doll makers out there, like a ton. You don't really
Yeah.
realize it until you hit the Instagram world and you're like, wow, okay, there's a
Yeah.
lot of you out there. So, what, you got to stand out from the crowd somehow. And
Yeah.
I feel like as much as my dolls can be similar to someone else's, I add those few extra, little details. Like maybe I noticed that that person had a mole and I added that in, or that they're wearing that particular necklace and I'm going to sculpt that necklace out of clay and put that on there. Like there's little tiny features that don't need to be on a doll to know who they are, but I want
Mhm.
to add them to make mine
Yeah.
stand out just a little bit more.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you said you even will often watch, even maybe over and over again, if it's a TV show or a movie while you're making the doll.
Yeah. Like anything that's from some sort of pop culture movie, TV show, usually it's something I enjoy too. Like I can't think of something I've made where I've been like, oh, I don't like that
Yeah.
movie. So for the most part, it's something I've watched over and over because I want to see what are their, like, what's their eye color.
Hmm.
Maybe, that character, you might recognize them in a certain shirt or pants, but what shoes are they wearing? So
Yes.
I'm trying to see all those little tiny things that can be overlooked. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'm rewatching it. Like Hocus Pocus, I rewatched every day while I was making those dolls. Because the
Yeah.
first day I'd be like, all right, I'm watching Winifred. And then I'd
Yeah.
watch everything. Like she'd spin and I'd be like, oh, she's got a buckle on her shoe. Like I'd notice those little
Yeah.
things. And then the next day I'd be like, okay, I'm going to work on Sarah today. So now I'm going to focus on Sarah this whole movie. And then I'd
Mhm.
see, oh yeah, it is a corset. It's not attached to the skirt. Like just small things. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, I get to watch my favorite things over and over. So I don't really care about that either.
Yeah. I love that. And you said, uh, how long do you feel on average it takes you to make one of these dolls?
It can vary on the doll. Some dolls, especially now, I'm trying to challenge myself with more. Like you said, I'm doing a lot more Halloween ones, which are
Hmm.
kind of involving a little more detail or more sculpting of things.
Yeah.
And this isn't my full-time job. So I don't do this all day, every day. I have a
Hmm.
toddler, so it's, mom life too. So I do a lot while I crochet, or I crochet a lot while I watch TV at night. So,
Hmm.
if my partner's, maybe we put on a show we've already seen, or he's playing video games or something, like I'll sit and
Yeah.
crochet, or on my days off, or things like that. So, about a week a doll is kind of what I give myself. It might be a
Okay.
little less, it could be a little more. It just depends on the time I
Yeah.
have. But I'd say about an average is about a week. And then again, depending on detail. Like right now I'm making like Hannibal Lecter's like my last like Halloween kind of one. So like I've started to add like clothing to my dolls instead of crocheting them. So yesterday I made his little straight jacket.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So that's what I was like working on yesterday. So like this doll's taking me a little more because I'm actually now sewing clothing, which
Yes.
I've never really been a seamstress, but I can sew the odd thing. So now I'm starting to make like little miniature clothes for dolls. So it's taken a little longer, but he'll be done. And I wanted to have him done before Halloween, and then I might start making some Christmas inspired dolls. I don't know.
Yeah. And I see you have one Christmas doll behind you,
Oh,
technically.
I have cousin Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
He
Eddie
was
sold? Is Eddie
Eddie
sold or is
actually
he?
isn't sold, but Eddie might be a Christmas gift. We haven't
Gotcha.
decided. It
Yep.
will depend, but his. Let me see if I can get it to. So I
Oh, I
actually put
love it.
Christmas lights in his
Oh, yep,
box,
yep.
right? So he lights up from the inside, and then I made the box the RV.
Yes.
So, so there's lights at the top like the RV has, and then I punctured just like a little hole. There it is in the back there, and he has a hose. So the
Yeah.
hose has a magnet in it, and his hand has a magnet, and it will hold the hose. The hose can attach to the back of the box, and it's all interactive. It was like
Oh
the
my
most
God.
interactive doll I've made. Oh, and if you squeeze him, he'll say "Shitter was full" too. He has a sound box in him as well.
That's amazing.
See if I can. I don't know if I did him in
Yeah,
here. Let
don't
me
break
see.
him.
I can pull him out. He's attached in there, but I can still show you. So that was cousin Eddie, and let's see. Whoops. There you go.
Oh my God. Ah.
Yeah, and then
And
he's got his
do
cigar and his beer.
so do all of the dolls slide out like that? So you're able to
Yeah,
slide them? Yeah.
that's kind of my like box design. I've created this like inner sleeve, so I
Yeah.
attach them to the
Yeah.
box, like the sleeve, like
I mean, it's just like a
any like
Barbie. Like if you had
90s
gotten a
television.
Barbie.
Yeah, right. Like when you were a
Yeah.
kid, you got your Christmas presents, you undid all the
Yeah.
twist ties or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of design with this box, and then they slide into the box. So that way you're not wrecking the box getting the doll
Yeah.
out.
Yes.
Because I know some people won't care if there's a box. Like I don't
Yeah.
automatically make a box with the dolls. It is an extra because they are
Yes.
quite time consuming. But if you want one, then usually you're going to keep the doll kind of with it or in it, right?
Yeah.
So I want them to not wreck the box to look at the
Yes.
doll. Yeah, they slide in nicely.
So, and you can tell me as little or as much. I'm not asking for your secrets by
Yeah.
any means, but do you still make these boxes by yourself? Everything is
Everything I make
amazing.
is handmade. There's not much
Wow.
to buy. Like I said, even the clothing, like I've been like hand making the clothing, the boxes I make like from scrap.
Yeah.
Like all the little cutouts, I just kind of I'll either design them online or I'll find the images online and cut them out or something or print them.
Yeah.
What the doll is, but I put a lot of research into it too. Like even the Green Bastard one with the park sign. From that episode, like he's holding like this big picket sign, right?
Yes.
And he's like
Yep.
with marker all over it.
Yep.
I took a still shot of that image and I like erased the background, kept the
yes,
cut it out. So it is his handwriting still, but I've like, made it so I can stick it on a box. So like there's a lot of work that goes into it, which you wouldn't think just by looking at it quickly. But when I made all three of the Sanderson sisters boxes for the girl that bought them, it took me an entire day to do all the boxes. And I was like, holy crap, yeah, okay, a lot goes into these.
Like, yeah, well, I feel like for me, just the fact that you make the boxes from scratch is the most like mind-blowing thing to me because they look so professional. Like it looks like you got them printed somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you put them
tried.
together.
I looked into that when I was like looking into boxes. I looked at box websites and Amazon or like anywhere I could to try to find doll boxes, and the sizes were never correct for what I needed, or they didn't have a clear insert. Like there was always something that wasn't going to work, and I was like, okay, so what's going to? I have to figure this out. Yeah. And I just like fiddled with some different designs. Like I said, I was repurposing some, so I kind of had different ideas of what would work. I knew the sizes I needed, and in the end, it's probably cheaper than trying to go to some custom place being like, these are the specific sizes I need to cut that out.
Sure. Well, and especially because you customize the cutout and like how the text is. So
like I cut like around.
Yes, exactly.
So like if I had a generic box, it would just have an oval, which would be fine too.
Yeah.
But again, I want mine to be more custom, and like with the Green Bastard, like I actually like dirtied it.
Yes.
It's Trailer Park Boys, right? So it just looks like rusty and old. True. Duct tape on it. Like I wanted the aesthetic of Trailer Park Boys. So I changed
Oh, that's
the lights on
amazing.
the RV, right? Like I want them to look
Yes.
good.
Yes. So we did have someone ask
Mm.
how you have dealt with pricing because you put so much time and effort. And what did that journey look like for you from the beginning of like, oh, people want to
Yeah.
buy these to like how you make sure that you feel like your time is compensated for?
Yeah, it's definitely progressed. In the beginning, I think everyone doesn't know what to charge. Like, I think that's the
Yep.
number one question new crocheters ask experienced ones. How do you know what to charge? What there
Yep.
really isn't like I would never say to someone you have to charge $10 an hour. Like you don't there isn't really a set fee. So it's difficult. It's definitely transitioned from the beginning. Like my first couple dolls I gave as gifts and it was my mom being like, "Stop giving away things for free." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, you have talent. Like stop
Yeah.
just giving it away. Start
Yeah.
selling some of them."
Yeah.
So it's changed. It's my prices have changed depending on the doll I'm making.
Mhm.
Obviously, from the beginning to now, I feel like even myself, my skills have definitely improved. So the prices
Yeah.
are a little different. I don't have a set price, so I always say to people when they message me, please just let me know what it is you want. Like
Yeah.
if it's a loved one that I like can't look up, like send me all the pictures you can,
Yes.
every outfit, every close up, like something like that, and then I can give you a price. If it's a movie, tell me the character. I can do some research. I can look it up, and I'll give you price points. Like I said, boxes I've done as an extra feature for it. Two reasons: one, they look good, and one, they ship better because I feel like they're
Hmm.
a little more secure in their own
Yeah.
little like home than just like flipping around in a box. Because we know the
Yep.
mail system is not gentle.
Hmm. Yeah, you got
So
that right.
so yeah, like I still struggle with deciding what to price dolls. Like I'll admit that. Like I don't think I'm quite like, yep, that's exactly what I needed to have done from this point on. Like it's still definitely a struggle. I still get ghosted a lot, which is probably good. Like for example, the Sanderson sisters, when I posted that online, it got a lot of likes. And a friend of mine has like a Facebook craft thing she kind of manages, and she posted it on there. It got a lot of likes, a lot of people
Yep.
wanting the dolls. So I had a lot of messages of people being like, I need them in my life, I
Yeah.
absolutely want them. And then we would talk
Hmm.
pricing, and then it was like, oh,
Yeah.
I actually, like, one lady wrote back, oh, I thought they were going to be $20 each. And I went, well, I always wondered what people thought they would be, but I was like,
Yeah.
they're definitely not $20 each. I don't even know if you can buy a toy for $20 at Walmart anymore. Like,
Not a Barbie.
like right? Not a Barbie. Like they're at least 30 or 40 at this
Maybe
point,
like
not
the Dollar
100.
Tree, maybe the Dollar Tree Barbie knockoff.
Maybe, right? So
And
like
it'd be
there's
Dollar General, not Dollar Tree,
yeah,
because,
right?
you know.
Yeah, it has to be like the cheapest of the cheap. There you go. That's the toy you can buy for that. So like there's people that if you're a crafty person, if you're a maker, you understand and you
Yeah.
get that there's cost to it. If you're not and you're just like, hey, I saw this picture pop up, they don't understand, they don't get it. They're just like, oh, that's going to be super cheap. Because I had one lady say, I want 3 sets of them, and in my head I was like, whew, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Like I
I
know
can
it's going to have
promise
enough to
you
be
that's a no.
compensated. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely a struggle. It's something I think about, I talk about all the time. I go back and forth, but
Yeah.
I have to be dishonest to myself. And there's a couple reasons. Crafty is cool. Again, Allison gave me the best advice ever, and she goes, "Not everyone needs a doll, so you're
Yeah.
gonna get the people that really want it that are gonna buy it. If you
Yes.
make it so cheap that everyone buys it, you're gonna hate making them." Right?
Yes.
Like you're gonna get to the point where you're like, ugh, I don't want to do this anymore. And I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. I still enjoy making them. Like I think I said to you before, I almost like just making 1 or 2 of the doll, moving on to the next one because I like a new challenge. Like I
Yeah.
want to kind of create something better than the last one. So
Hmm.
it's just yeah, it keeps developing. I think that's anyone's
Yeah.
pricing is just always going to keep developing. But
Yeah.
you'll get the
Well, and
people
it's,
that'll buy it if they want and they understand quality and they want it that bad. A
yeah.
collector, they're collector dolls. They're not toys.
Yes.
Like you're not
Exactly.
buying this to give to your 6-year-old kid. You're buying it to put on a shelf, right?
Yep. And I did kind of want to ask you because you have a toddler. How
Yeah.
is that going? Like, do you ever have a little sneaky stealing the dolls?
Not
Like,
usually. Like some dolls he doesn't see. Like I have, like a life-size Chucky. So
yes.
he doesn't really hang out with Chucky.
Right.
So like he has his own toys and his own things.
Yeah.
I have my little crochet like around the couch where we all hang out in the living room, but he kind of isn't really bothered by it. I think there's just more entertaining things for him. Like the odd
Yeah.
time he has grabbed, if I've been working on a doll, he has grabbed it off the thing, and I've just been like, "Can I have that back?" And then
Yeah.
hand it
Yeah.
over it because it doesn't do anything. So
And how old is he now?
he's almost 3. He'll be 3 in
Okay.
December.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good that it's like, I mean, obviously I don't have kids, but the only thing I can compare that to is the fact that I feel very lucky that our cat is not interested in yarn. So like,
Yeah.
I don't have the concern of like him sneaking in the yarn room and like tearing everything to shreds,
Yeah.
or I realized the only thing he's interested in is t-shirt yarn, weirdly enough. I don't know if it's like the sound it makes coming out of the cake, like if I have it, and I'm
Yeah.
using it, or like it hitting the couch, like there's something that stirs something up in his little brain.
Yeah.
But I feel lucky that like I don't have any animals or kids who were like, I'm gonna have to like lock all my stuff up.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been pretty lucky so far. He's been pretty good to stay out of stuff. And like I said, we have a lot of collectibles in my house. Like my house looks like a toy store. So
I love
I
it.
think it's just he's grown up with all these things that he's been told he can't touch, and he's pretty good with it now. So
That's
he
good.
has his set stuff he works with. There's still the odd time that we're like, hey, don't touch that, because every
Yeah.
kid tests their boundaries. But
Yeah.
he's
Just get higher shelves.
yeah, right. Eventually, just keep getting them a little higher, moving things away. Like there's certain rooms like he doesn't come in, so I can hide things in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I figured that would be a question. And just for anyone watching, just so you guys know, if you have a specific question, I do try to keep an eye on the comments, but they move quickly because when people join, it bumps a comment. So if you have a question for Jenny, please put it in the question box. If you look at the bottom of your screen, if you're watching this on Instagram, there's a little speech bubble with a question mark in the middle of it, and you can actually put questions there and it'll alert me, and they stay there so I can just check them throughout the live. So if you do have questions, please be sure to put them there, and then I don't miss them. And if you joined late, this will be rewatchable on my Instagram, and then I also put them on YouTube. So if you joined in late, you feel like you missed the conversation, you will definitely be able to rewatch it. So I wanted to ask you, when it comes to the dolls, because you mentioned you grew up crafty, painting and drawing and doing the makeup and all of these things. And and you don't have to name them all, but like, what are some of the different mediums that you have used for these dolls? You mentioned clay, you mentioned makeup, and starting to sew. But what are some of the things you've done, and what are some of the kind of things that have been really interesting that you were like, I did not see myself doing this for a doll, to bring those details out?
It's all progressed from the beginning. When I very first started, I didn't use any wires. I got little tiny wooden dowels, and that would be in the head, in the neck. So the dolls were just really stiff little things. Yeah. So it's progressed from now they're completely wired down to the feet, so you can turn their ankles, you can turn their wrists, you can turn their neck. So it's just kind of things that have developed. Clay was something that I started adding into things. If there was something I felt like the Jason Voorhees I made, he needed his hockey mask, and I just would read the same as crochet, so I sculpted it. And I think I saw someone ask what kind of clay. I just used like Sculpey or Fimo, like just those like polymer clay things.
And you have to bake it?
Yeah, you bake those ones. Yeah. I kind of experimented with different baking things, and I tried to take them out when they're still a little more pliable, so I can kind of still mold it while it's warm. I've had to play around with a few different things, but and then painting, because then I paint the Sculpey. I just buy just white, and then I do all the details and paint. Like I don't buy a bunch of the colors of the clay. Painting and makeup, like I use real makeup on the
Mhm.
dolls, or paint or markers. Sometimes, like I made a doll. If you go to my Instagram, it was a custom doll for a friend of mine's a photographer, and she wanted to have a contest to let the contest winner win a doll of their photo shoot.
Oh, that's so
So,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
so there was one where she had a giant Barbie box, and the girl
Mhm.
was Barbie. So, I made the doll of her with the Barbie box, but that girl was covered in tattoos from head to toe.
And someone is
So,
asking right now, what did you do for
yeah,
tattoos?
so
So
it's Sharpie markers. So it's just markers,
nice.
and
Yeah.
I had to study this girl's tattoos. Like I went to her Instagram, and every pose, every angle, even if she just turned like this, and I was like, oh, there's a star on her back. Like I could see the little things. I had
Yes.
a photographer send me every still she could, even if it was like a blooper or something. But
Mhm.
she showed off the back of her calf tattoo or something. I was like, send me them all. So I had to stare at this girl's photo every day trying to draw little tattoos on this little piece of yarn, but it turned out pretty good. Like as much detail as I can get on something
Yeah.
small and yarn, it's still like read as her. Like when she saw the
Yeah.
doll, she was ecstatic that it looked like her.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I think like again though that's just like my artistic side of it, right? Like I've always been good with fine details too. Like I can do like nail painting.
Hmm.
I can draw like little tiny things, which I think you need a steady hand and be able to draw small in order to kind of get away with drawing on dolls. But
Definitely.
it's practice, it's trial and error. What else have I incorporated into my dolls? I guess the sounds. That's kind of a new
Yes.
thing. It came like it was my boyfriend's idea a long time ago. Like you should put like sounds in the dolls. And I was like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And then I was gifted a box of craft supplies by a friend that just didn't make things anymore. And she used to make stuffed animals. And she had a couple little sound boxes in there that were tiny. And I was
Yes.
like, all right, let's give it a whirl. And
Yeah.
I don't remember the first one I did. It might have been Cousin Eddie, actually,
Yeah.
with The Shitter Was Full. I did that one because it was just recently that I got this.
And you
And
just
then I
record
put,
it.
yeah, so I
That's
found like a
cool.
clip that I could that was quiet enough because in that one he's running the hose. You hear so much background noise.
Yes.
So I was trying to find the best clips, and even Beetlejuice when he says it's showtime, there's lightning that strikes in that part of the movie. So I had to like go through people's clips. I was trying to find even Michael Keaton just saying it's showtime to try and find the most clear clip, and then I ended up finding a trailer from like 1990 or something, and it had just the clearest amount of it, and that I was able to record it, and then that's what I used for
That's
that.
cool.
So even the work that goes into finding the clip can take a while to find the
Yes.
right clip that I need to use.
Yeah. I was gonna
Like,
say, and this is one of the reasons I love these chats is because it is those things that like you don't even really think to share. I mean, like the effort that goes into trying to find clips, I mean, and you may have shared about it, but I feel like it's those little things that you do, not even really thinking about the fact that like this is really interesting because like you just have to do it. You have to do it
yeah,
to find what you're looking for. And I wouldn't have even thought about the fact that like even if you tried, to record it from the show, that it might not really be as possible as you think it's gonna be.
yeah, like the feedback, right? Like, because you're gonna record every sound that happens. So yeah, like
Yeah.
you hear them say that, but is there a car horn honking in the background? Is there someone else talking in the distance? Like you're gonna record all of that. So, with I'm like I said, I'm making Hannibal Lecter right now. I wanted him to say like Clarice or something, but I couldn't find proper clips. So I ended up getting one of when he was, which is more apt anyway, strapped to the gurney in his straitjacket talking to
Hmm.
the senator. So I found a decent clip, but like there's things where, I rewatch the movies over and over again just to be like, what's going to be a good clip? What's going to be
Yeah.
understandable to people that, know that character, or like a memorable moment or something. So it's just new things I like to add to my process just to make my dolls stand out from others.
Well, they definitely stand out. So you were hitting the nail on the head there with that. And let's see. So this is just a sweet comment. So Betty says, so cool to learn about your creative process. You're so amazing, friend.
Oh, hi,
Um,
Betty.
And we did have a question. Francis Metello asked when you were using the dowels,
Yeah.
um, asking how long the dowels were. Did they run all the way through the doll, or were they just in the neck?
Um, enough that they supported them. Like, I bought like a little bag of dowels at a dollar store. I don't even know what they for. I'm gonna say they're about the size of a sucker stick. So like
Gotcha.
maybe
Yep.
3 to 4 inches top. So it
Yeah.
went from like almost the whole head, maybe halfway down into the body. So it was enough that
Yeah.
there was support there to hold the neck and the head so it didn't flop or anything,
Yeah.
but not short enough that, if someone did drop it and it moved, that the head was going to be stuck like that with a piece of
Mhm.
wood sticking out of it or something.
Yeah.
So definitely, like, I think most dollar stores, Dollar Tree, sell these little bags of sticks in the craft department, and that's what I
Yeah.
used in the beginning. And they worked great. If you don't want to pose your dolls, they're perfect because
Yeah.
they will hold the neck upright. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the only amigurumi doll I've made one small amigurumi doll because I did make some big giant unicorns for like
Mm-hmm.
a little, like a half second, and every single
Yeah.
one I made sold. And then it was the same thing you said of I was like, I don't want to make any more unicorns.
Yeah.
If you guys got one, great. Maybe in a couple years I'll go on another unicorn binge. But um, we were watching very regularly for a while there, Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And my husband has a Mr. Meeseeks tattoo. Yeah. And it looks like I may have used a very similar pattern.
That's from my friend Kayla, who is Shay Crochet on Instagram. I don't know if anyone follows her. I think she's in the chat. I saw her little name pop up, but that's her pattern for
Is it a
Meeseeks.
is it a free pattern on her blog by chance?
Oh, Kayla, put in the comments. I don't
If
know.
it if it is, because that's what I followed one that was free on a blog and it looks exactly like that. So it
So
may
yeah,
have
no,
been.
that was from Kayla, and I think she's here, so she might be frantically trying to write in the comments. But yeah, I love Rick and Morty, and so like she
Yeah.
had done Meeseeks. I think she made a pattern for Rick, if I'm not mistaken, as well, and
Mhm.
possibly Morty too. So again, finding people in the crochet world, right? Like the girl that did this, Kayla, I bought a few Animal Crossing patterns from her because I was a big like into Animal Crossing, and then got to talking and found out she's from the same city I am. So we're like, oh,
That's
that's
amazing.
crazy, like crochet
Yeah.
friends. So there she is. I think she just said no, but there are free ones there. So
Gotcha.
definitely
Yeah.
check out her Instagram too. She's got lots of patterns. She's very creative. She makes a lot of Pokemon things too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and that's the only one I made, and he has no support. He's super floppy, and but we love him because it was 100% for my husband, and now it's our tree topper. So every
Nice.
year we get the Christmas tree out, Mr. Meeseeks sits on top of the tree. So it's really fun, but I feel like everyone should find a reason to kind of dabble in some of the different areas of crochet. So like if you only do amigurumi, make yourself a wearable, or if you only make hats and scarves, try out amigurumi or make yourself
Mm-hmm.
like a pillow or something that's a different style. And I feel like it allows you to discover new people, like
Mm-hmm.
if you try to do an amigurumi, find some new people to follow that make amigurumi, buy a pattern from a designer. I just feel like it's a great way to continue growing like your sphere of community within the crochet world. And gives you that appreciation, like I think there are a lot of people who, you get used to what you're doing and get comfortable with that. And then, you go to try something else and you're like, oh man, like I don't see how people do this. Like, and that you just have this renewed appreciation for people who have found a different niche
Mm-hmm.
within crochet.
Yeah. Like when I didn't start making dolls right away. Like
Mhm.
I made a few wearables. Like I made a couple scarves and like
Mhm.
big giant shawl hoods. I made a rupee granny square blanket that's like a rug
Mhm.
in my son's room. So there's definitely a lot of different things I made before I delved into dolls, but dolls just really stuck with me. It's something I ended up really enjoying. And I really liked challenging myself to add more to them and add more makeup and add more detail. So it's kind of become something I'm sticking to. But once in a while, I'll see a pattern pop up from maybe someone that makes a wearable, and I'm like, oh, I want to make that. I don't have time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes into like the personal project side of,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel that way. I actually bought two patterns at the beginning of the year from other designers for clothing. But it was clothing either made with stitches I'd never used or techniques that I'd never used, and I'd wanted to learn. So I was like, well, I want to learn how to make a top-down sweater, so I'm going to support another designer and see how that's actually done, like the actual technique of top-down. And I started on one of them, like immediately, and I think I got halfway through it. It is still only halfway done, and I did not start on the other. So still on the list, you know, got the pattern, still planning to make it happen at some point, you know, but it's hard when it's like, but I need to do this, or, you know, we have other things on our plate. So it can be difficult. I did want to show you, because we were talking about Rick and Morty. I don't know if you followed, we did our DIY hook challenge this year. And you can buy like through one of our white 3D printed crochet hooks, you decorate it. And then we have like a contest, you know, so we have prizes and all of that. And this year I try to join in, because I'm like, I want to make mine along with everyone, be like, if I can do it, you can do it, you know? And this year I made a Mr. Meeseeks hook.
Oh my God, amazing. I love it.
So there's his little body, his little feet are down on the bottom of the hook, but I was so happy with like his little face. No, and then on the back, it's got the can do.
Can do.
So that was really fun. But it's one of those things too, where it's like you realize, and I feel like I feel like this has to be kind of where you're at sometimes, of like, this was really, really fun to make. I could potentially make it again, and I feel like it would sell really well, but I don't really want to. Like, I love it. It's mine.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
And I was like, people can do the DIY hook challenge and they can make one. Like, I'm not an amazing drawer, you know? So, I had a little picture of them, and I had my little Sharpie marker, and, you know, just drew them up, and then I used acrylic paint to get the blue on there first, you know, and drew over it. But, I feel like pushing ourselves creatively, like, I feel like you do that in the way of, you know, let me try something I haven't tried before. Like you talked about, now you're like sewing these pieces, but it's such a good feeling, you know, even if it's not perfect, it's like, but I did that. Like, look what I did, you know?
Oh, they're definitely not perfect. Like, if someone was like, hey, can you make me a life-size version of that? No, it's going to look awful. Like, there's like jagged stitches. Like, it would rip if you tried to put it on. But hey, it's meant for a doll. So it's as good as it can be for a doll. But I'm sure they'll get better the more I make.
Yes.
But yeah, like, I like new challenges. I guess that's what it is. I don't want to be stuck making the exact same style of doll. I want to grow. I want to evolve. Like with anything with makeup, you know, I learned different styles of that, hair, things. So I want to add more and more. I don't want to ever just be like, I'm just happy making one doll, which is great if someone is. If someone's like, you know what, I made this one style of doll and that's all I make, good for you. If that's what makes you happy. I just like, after I finished one, like, you know, with Billy with the head, and it was my boyfriend that said, make the head come off. And I went, oh, okay. And he's like, no, you can. And I was like, no, like the dolls have to be sewn on. Like, that's what you do. And he's like, you can do it. Yeah. So I dismiss him like, well, whatever. But then in my head, I'm like, can I? So then I start thinking about it and like, yeah, okay, I can. So like, after I finished one that was kind of more challenging, like I made Freddy Krueger when I was like, how do I make the skin look textured? Okay, I did it. You know, I did it with makeup, I did it with yarn, I did it. It's
amazing.
I did it. So what next? Like, what other challenging ones? So I have an idea. I don't want to say it out loud. I don't want to put it into the universe unless I can do it, but I have a really cool one coming up that if it works out, it'll be another fun niche that everyone will enjoy.
It's so funny. It's so funny that you mentioned your partner saying what he said about like pushing you, because I feel like if my husband's still listening, because I saw that he was on here, if he's still listening, he's going to be like nodding his head, because he does that all the time. He's like, why don't you do this? And I'm like,
right.
You know, and then you start to think about it, and, you know, I have to give him credit. I mean, there's so many things that, you know, it's like, we oftentimes are not willing to push ourselves to be like, oh, I can do that, you know, and it takes someone else coming in and saying, you have the talent, you have the drive, you have the creative
side, you know, you can figure it out. Um, you know, but it's easier to, you know, sometimes be like, no, like this is how it has to be done, you know,
Well,
like this is,
there's times where I've had to be like, no, I legit
yes,
can't do that.
yeah,
But it's usually like him in the back of my mind being like, yeah, you can. And I'm, no. But then it's in my mind and I'm like, maybe I can. And then I'll
yeah,
start looking it up. Like, okay, what kind of magnets can I get? Can I get small enough,
yeah,
strong enough ones? Are they going to work through yarn? And then I
yes,
bought 5 different types of magnets before I found ones that worked. But it was just him in the back of my mind being like, yeah, you can. So
yeah,
everyone kind of needs that little like push, that little support person that's like, no, you
yeah,
can. Like, you can
yeah,
do it. And if I
yeah.
can't, well, at least I tried, I guess, right?
Yes,
So,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Um, so I did want to talk a little bit about your process when it comes to the choosing dolls to make.
Mhm.
Does it just come to you, or do you literally right now have a whole list in your head of like one day I'm making all these characters?
Every day, and like I feel like my boyfriend rolls his eyes. I'm like, oh, I have an idea. And he's
Yes.
like, when are you gonna make all these? So like I'll watch something or something will come into my mind and I'll get an idea. So there's definitely gonna be dolls that I'll think of, but I probably won't make. Sometimes it comes from a custom order. Someone will just order something that I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Like the Corpse Bride, that
Hmm.
was a custom order. That was a girl being like, can you make this? And I was like, challenge accepted. She has
Hmm.
bones. That's an interesting one. So
Yeah.
there's like I have ideas. Sometimes I'll just kind of get into a groove and I'm like, I have to see this happen. Like I think it was Freddie. I made his head first because in my head I was like, if I can't make his face look right, I'm not gonna bother with the body. I know I can make a sweater, I know I can make the pants, like I know the
Yeah.
rest of it can be made. So there's things that I will try to make the hardest part first, just so I can first get myself excited about it. Because when I see it coming together, then I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, and I get really excited, and then I want
Like
to keep
more
going.
motivation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like I'll do things like that where I'll just like even Billy. I think I made his head first because I was like, I need to make him look gaunt. Like I need to make him look like a
Yeah.
zombie. So I need to know that I can do that before I craft the rest of it. Some dolls come together from drawing. I don't have my book up here with me. I left it in my living room, but I think I took a video of it once on my Instagram. Like
Yes,
I'll
that you do draw.
doodle,
I
I'll
love it.
draw the doll out and I'll put little notes like, okay, this
Do
has to
you
be
draw
for
every time?
not every time.
Okay.
Um, More so lately because I've been coming up with some that are intricate. So like I might doodle while I'm watching it to be like, oh, he had a ring on his pinky finger and a ring on his thumb.
Yes.
And I'll make those little notes in my drawing because that's something that you won't remember. Like I can remember Freddie has red and green shirt. That's easy. But
Yeah.
did I remember that he had the soles on his chest? Like there's different things that I have to write in my notes. So I have a few drawings. Some things I just wing it. Some things I'm like, hey, you know what? I think I can just do that by a picture, or I'll start with the base and then maybe I'll go into just different things at a time, or I might be like, now I got to work on that shirt, so I'll go look for the yarn that's going to work for that.
Cool.
I don't really have like a set process. Sometimes I find things or I find a yarn color and I'm like, what can I make of this? And that'll bring up an idea.
Yeah.
Like where I'm just like, I want to make something out of this. So what can I make? And then I'll think of a doll or something. So it varies. My ideas come from all over.
Yeah. Do you have do you ever keep notes of dolls that you want to make, or do you just keep it all in your head?
Most in my head, because sometimes I'll keep it in my mind, in the back of my mind, that I want to make it, and then I'll either get to it or I'll push it aside. Like Beetlejuice, I made the Maitlands like a while ago, like right when they had their monster faces.
Yes.
So I had that idea to make Beetlejuice and the Maitlands, but I wanted to challenge myself with the Maitlands first because I thought they would be obviously more challenging as monsters. So I made them, and then I think I just got a couple custom orders. So Beetlejuice got pushed back, pushed back, pushed back. And then it was just recently that I came across the material, because I had bought the striped material when I was like
Oh, yeah.
one day. And I knew he needed to have a sewn suit because I was like, the
Yeah.
stripes are going to look better in a sewn suit.
Yeah.
So I was cleaning up my crafting and I came across the material and I was like, I need to make Beetlejuice. Like I need to make Beetlejuice now. It's Halloween. This is time. So I
Did
just
you
made him
do
recently.
felting at all with him?
Yeah, so all of his mold and stuff is all felted on his face. The hair is felted as well, and then I've kind of like twisted it and pulled it to make it
Yeah.
look all dirty. So yeah, he actually is a lot more felting than I've done on a lot of dolls.
And what about like his eyes? Like
That's
how did
makeup.
you, huh?
So that's makeup and paint. So he has
Oh,
like
wow.
the the safety eyes and stuff, but I
Gotcha.
have like I stitched on his eyebrows, and then there's makeup and paint to give him the purple like gaunt makeup. His stubble is Sharpie marker, so I did all the
Uh-huh.
stubble with the Sharpie. That's felted there, and then his teeth are clay. So
What?
I sculpt and paint the teeth and
They're
attach
so
them.
tiny.
Yeah, oh yeah. The things
And then
I
you
make
do you
like
have to
in
do you
my
have to
oven, like
glue
tiny,
them?
tiny. Yeah, they're glued. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So
That's
like the little,
amazing.
right, like it's those little tiny things that and then I actually like he has little shoes.
Oh my gosh. How did you make those?
I I found old doll shoes, and I was able to like repurpose them and paint them. So I painted them to
Wow.
look like boots.
Betty did ask, do you use acrylic yarn or wool when you're having to do the felting process?
The felting, I actually bought a needle felting kit a few years ago. I want to say from like the Wish app or something, like just
Yeah.
inexpensive. Like it was a kit that came with little mini colors of like I think it's called roving or something.
Yep. Yep.
The stuff, the fiber.
Yeah.
So I just had that kit still, and I had this green and all the colors, and
That's
while
perfect.
pondering making Beetlejuice, I was like, do I paint his mold or do I do makeup? And I was going back and forth, and I decided to try the needle felting along with makeup. There is also makeup and paint in his moldy face as well
Yeah.
to give the depth and the dimension. But yeah, it was just a kit I had, so I didn't go and like source out any of the material for it. I just have this. I collect crafty things when I come across them sometimes, so I was like, I'll use that one day.
Yeah.
Just
And it looks like High on Crochet said I have that too. So I think she means maybe the kit that you
yeah,
got.
it was just I don't even remember how much it was. It was a long time ago. I bought it. I think just to felt like eyes on like
Yeah.
big stuffed animals or like teddy bears and stuff. And then it's just
Yeah.
every so often I've thought, ooh, felting. That's what I need for this project. And then it came in handy for Beetlejuice for sure. Or when
Yeah.
I felted cousin Eddie, I put everything everywhere now.
Yeah.
He has felted hair too under his hat. So
So when uh with the dolls, what is your favorite yarn? What's like the go-to yarn for you to use? And has that been something that has changed? Where you found a favorite? What does that look like?
my absolute favorite yarn that I will use for every project, unless they're like a zombie or something that's a different color, is again, I keep talking about Allison. I wonder if she's even here. She has her own yarn line called Amigurumi Skin Tones.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
I think there's 8 different shades of like skin tone color. So
Yeah.
the texture and the size of it is a worsted weight, but it's thinner. It's almost like if you know Karen Simply Soft, it's like a thinner yarn like
Yeah.
that. I
Mhm.
absolutely love that yarn for any of the skin tones of my dolls. Like any doll that has just regular skin tone is that yarn.
Yeah.
Like Beetlejuice, I used a more gray yarn because he's dead, things like that.
Yeah.
But that's my go-to absolutely for skin tone. For clothing, I just look for thinner yarn. I don't usually use too much worsted. I did in the beginning, and I found things were too thick. So I'm gonna show you
Yeah.
like Tyrone, like his sweater it was very thick.
Yes.
It's not a bad thing, but I was like, it just doesn't drape, right?
It looks like a chunky sweater. It looks like he's wearing a
right?
chunky
Like
sweater.
he found it
Yeah.
on the street and
Yeah.
threw it on. So I've experimenting throughout the years. Like I'm in Canada, so I don't have access to a lot of the yarns that I see people post about. Like I don't have a
Yeah.
Joann's, I don't have Hobby Lobby and things like that
Yep.
here. So I have Michael's or Walmart.
Mhm.
So, and even like the skin tone yarn I use, I have to order directly from her in the States. So it gets really pricey to get kind of some of the special yarns I like, because the Canadian dollar is not the friendliest when it comes to conversion either.
Yeah.
So I don't have like a set favorite that I buy for the clothing and stuff. I usually look for more of like a DK or a lighter weight worsted.
Yeah.
And that's usually what I use. So like a Simply Soft, Karen Simply Soft is one that I've used quite a bit just because it's a thinner texture. I
Yeah.
like the cheaper ones, like the Bernat and stuff like that. The, you know, like those big spools that are like cheap, but
Yeah.
they just don't look as good.
And do you tend to lean towards acrylics?
Usually,
Your yarn?
yeah. Yeah, I don't have a preference. Like, it doesn't have to be cotton, acrylic, wool, or anything like that. I don't normally use cotton because it doesn't stretch as
Yes.
like, and I like the stretch of more like the acrylic yarn. So that way, if I,
Mhm.
you know, like Beetlejuice has like a little bit of a pot belly, so I
Yes.
wanted it to stretch out, so he had his little pot belly, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
like,
awesome.
there's things like that that I do still look for just like a regular acrylic, just so I can kind of mold it a little bit more.
Yeah. And do you use just regular old batting when you're filling them, or do
Yeah,
you have
it's
anything special that you like?
polyfill or something I think it's
Yeah.
called, right? Yeah,
Yep.
just regular
Yep.
stuffing. Yeah, nothing special inside there. And
Yeah.
then the in wire, like where
Yeah.
there's no beads or anything. Like I don't weight it down like that way,
Mhm.
but I do try to get the wire down into the foot so they have a little bit more of stability
Yeah.
without a stand. But
Yeah.
for the most part, they need a stand.
And because we're running out of time, of course, I feel
Yeah,
like we could talk for like another
I
hour,
know,
and
right?
we'll
We
have to
totally could.
you'll have to come back on because that's what I'm getting to that point where I'll probably start inviting people back and like we can
Yeah.
check in and see what you're working on. So I think that's really fun. Um, but I did want to ask you about creatures. So you make a lot of dolls and
Mhm.
like humanesque
Yeah,
things. I did see one in particular was the one from X-Files
I knew it. Yeah, I
where it
knew
was
that's
more
where
of
you
a
go.
creature. Have
Yeah.
you made other creatures or have most of them been actual like humanesque dolls?
I'd say most human-esque, especially at this point. Like I've had a few people message me asking me to make dogs and animals and things, and I've tried a couple times. I don't feel like my work's up to par for me, so I
Hmm.
don't I usually don't make as many like animals and stuff. I'm
Hmm.
sure if I worked again and practiced a bit more, I'd get to it, but
Yeah.
I like making the dolls.
Yeah.
The Fluke Man from X-Files, I had posted, I had bought like a patch of the Fluke Man and I had it on my
Uh-huh.
kit. And a friend of mine from school was like, "Are you making Fluke Man?" And I was like, "Oh my God, no, no, I'm not. That's insane." And he's like, "If you made it, I'd buy it." So then
Yeah.
that gets the wheels turning, being like, could I make Fluke Man? Like,
Yeah.
I loved that episode of The X Files. To this day, if I walk by a porta potty, I'm like, nope, there's a Fluke Man in there. Like, I can't, like, so I knew I'd want to make that one if I could, and I
Yeah.
had an action figure of him that my boyfriend had bought me years ago. So I was looking at it and I was like,
It's
maybe
human enough.
it's human enough, right? He's got
Yeah.
arms, he's got legs, like all right. And then I just winged it, and because he's got like saggy skin, right? Like he's supposed to be
Yeah.
all bloated and saggy and stuff. So I had to try and figure out how to make like ripples in his skin and like make him look all like he doesn't have a neck, like he has
Yeah.
like a hood and stuff. So
Yeah.
that was a fun challenge. I loved making him. My friend has him at home. He loves them. So I'm up to challenges
Yeah.
if I think I can do it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with people. If they write to me and say they want something and I don't think I can, I'll say like, hey, that might not be for me. But now that I know so many people in the fiber world, I can be like, but you know, you
Yes.
can go talk to
Yep.
so and so. Like they definitely can do that for you. So
Yeah.
it's helpful that way. But yeah, mostly humans.
Awesome. I'm sitting here thinking, because of course I'm huge Labyrinth fan, and I know you made Bowie.
Yeah.
But I know at some point the next tattoo on my list is Ludo. And it's like I was like, he's kind of human-esque, you know? Like one of these
Yeah.
days maybe you'll make a Ludo and I can just admire from
I
afar.
have thought about him because when I was making Bowie, once again, I was watching it for the 100,000th
Yes,
time, and I'm watching all the
he's my
characters.
favorite.
Even the little worm, I was like, I love that little worm. Like, come
Uh-huh.
inside and make the missus, right? So I was like, can I
Yes.
make these little guys? So I have thought about it. I have toyed with the ideas. Ludo would be fun because he'd have horns I
I
could
know.
sculpt.
You could
So
put the little ring in his mouth, you know?
right, yeah, like there's things that it's possible. I definitely I
Yeah.
wouldn't put him as a no. It's
Yeah.
possible because again
Yeah.
that would be another challenge. There'd be something
Yeah.
else that's out of my norm and something to challenge me. So
Yeah.
it's possible.
I'm
But
gonna
David
I'm gonna
Bowie, that was
I'm
a
gonna
fun one. I
hold
made
you
him a
to
couple
that
times.
possible answer.
Yeah. And Bowie was fun. I had a few different people want him, so I made him a few times, and he had
Yeah.
a marble in his package to make it
Yes.
some bulky out there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Ah, well, I'm so glad that you came out. Someone said there's a great pattern out there for Ludo, so I'm gonna
Well,
have
look
to
at
do
that.
have to do a little research. But I'm so glad you came on. This was a fantastic chat, and it was really just the greatest timing that you were able to come on when you did. I know we didn't like talk about Halloween all that much, but I feel like you had so many really great dolls now. So like if you guys have not gone to her Instagram page, please go check it out. You just have some amazing work. Huh?
You'll see them better on there. I know when I'm trying
yes, but it was so exciting to get to hear more about the process, especially like the backstories with the boxes and like all the detail that goes into what you do. You really do amazing work. Like I hope you hear that enough from people.
I've got a small following, but I've got my core following that are like fans and stuff. So I definitely I don't have a big Instagram group. I don't have TikTok. I feel a little too old for that sometimes. So I'm just a little guy, but I hear it when I need to.
It's amazing. You really do amazing work, and we will definitely have to plan something for you to come back on in the future so we can continue to chat, because I feel like we have plenty of other things that we can talk about. But I don't want to keep everybody too long. Please note again, if you missed this chat, if you're coming in late, you can always rewatch it either on my Instagram page here, which it should be uploaded almost immediately when this is over, or within the next hour or two. It should be available also on YouTube. At the latest, it'll be tomorrow, but there's an entire playlist on my YouTube channel dedicated to these chats. This is episode 35. Woo! And so there's plenty to watch if you want to discover new people in the crochet community, if you want to make some new friends, find some new designers, just get inspired by the amazing things that people are doing in this community. That is something that you can check out anytime. And yeah, I think that's everything for now. So thank you. And I hope you and everyone watching have an amazing weekend, start to your weekend, and we'll talk soon. So thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.